too much. If Wilmer got drunk, she knew he couldn't fly the plane. But if they did not take off soon, Amelia would lose the record. It was now or never. On June 16th, Amelia made a decision. She told Wilmer to get ready to fly. They were leaving the next day, no matter what. On the morning of June 17th, Amelia sent a cable to George Putnam back in Boston. The cable read, "Violet, cheerio, A.E." Violet was a code word. It meant that the friendship was taking off. Through the long flight, Wilmer Stultz and his co-pilot, Slim Gordon, took turns flying the plane. Amelia wrote notes in her journal. After 20 hours of flying, they knew they were low on fuel. Could they find land in time? The answer was yes. The Friendship touched down in Buryport, South Wales, 20 hours and 40 minutes after taking off from the Canadian coast. They had done it. On June 18, 1928, Amelia Earhart became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. What came next was a surprise for Amelia. The trip made her an instant hero. Amelia hadn't flown the plane, but people still thought she was very brave. In London, Amelia was entertained by the rich and famous. She had tea with royalty. On her return to America, Amelia was met with even greater excitement. There were parades and speeches. Crowds of people wanted to see and hear the brave female. Many people compared Amelia Earhart to the famous pilot Charles Lindbergh. They thought that Amelia, who was tall and slim, even looked like Lindbergh. Amelia's nickname became Lady Lindy. George Putnam liked this a lot. He knew he could make Amelia even more famous. All the attention was hard on Amelia. Sometimes she was frightened by the push of people trying to get near her. However, Amelia was a smart woman. She knew she would have to be in the spotlight if she wanted to fly planes and break records. Amelia also knew that if people got excited about flying, then the tiny airline business would grow. Amelia hoped to be part of that business. If Amelia made speeches, she would also be paid. That meant she could buy another airplane. With her own plane, she could set more records. That would lead to more speeches and more money. For the first time in her life, Amelia started to believe that she could actually make a living by flying. George Putnam became Amelia's manager. He set up lots of public appearances for her. In 6 months, Amelia made over 100 speeches and gave more than 200 interviews. Amelia did not complain about her busy schedule. She was given a new car for an appearance at an auto show. She also made money by letting companies use her name to advertise their products. The fur-lined leather Amelia Earhart flying suit became very popular in a New York department store. Amelia also became an editor for Cosmopolitan magazine and wrote a column about aviation. Amelia didn't really like to write, but the articles brought more publicity. Many of the magazine's readers thought that Amelia was a good role model for young girls. By 1929, Amelia was the best-known female pilot in America. But what Amelia really wanted was more time flying. So a week before she turned 32, Amelia purchased a second-hand Lockheed Vega. It was a big plane that was hard to handle, but it was built for speed and distance. As soon as possible, Amelia wanted to set more records. The first women's cross-country air race was going to be held later that summer. It was called the Women's Air Derby. Whoever flew from Santa Monica, California to Cleveland, Ohio in the shortest time would win. Amelia was eager to enter. The course, which went over the Rocky Mountains, was dangerous. The Rules Committee considered changing the flight path or making a male navigator go along in every plane. Needless to say, Amelia was very angry. She and other women pilots had flown many hours alone. Amelia said she would not enter the race if she couldn't fly on her own. Because of Amelia and several other female pilots, the committee backed down. The women would fly the whole course by themselves. On August 18, 1929, 20,000 people turned up in Santa Monica, California, for the start of the race. There were 19 pilots, including Amelia. Many people did not take the women seriously. Will Rogers, a famous writer at the time, called the race the Powder Puff Derby. Still, by that Sunday afternoon, all 19 planes were in the air and racing against the clock. The race was to take 8 days, but there were problems from the start. Planes broke down. Landing fields were not in good shape. On the second day, Amelia's plane flipped over on landing. She wasn't hurt, and she was able to fix her plane and keep racing. But others weren't so lucky. Some planes went off course and crashed. One pilot died in the mountains of Arizona. On August 25th, the race was over. Only 11 of the 19 women finished. Amelia Earhart came in third. Even though she didn't win, Amelia learned a lot. She also got to know many of the best women pilots in the country. After the race, many women pilots decided it was time to start their own group. On November 2, 1929, 26 women met in an airplane hangar in Long Island, New York. They wondered what to call themselves. Amelia suggested they name the club after the number of women who first joined. The other pilots liked the idea. Over the next several months,